We can have a happy marriage or a successful business, but you can't have both. And that wasn't good enough for me. That wasn't good enough for us. Like, we truly believe that you can have both. You can have everything.
If our relationship is going super smoothly, we're able to show up in our business as our whole, undistracted, powerful, creative self, right? If things aren't good at home, it can affect our business. If things are rough in the business, we can sometimes bring that home and it affects our marriage.
I think the most important thing as a human that we want is to love and be loved, right? So to give and receive love in a way that is fully felt, fully appreciated, fully seen, and fully desired. And when we operate ourselves and our life from that place, we have a vibration that not just ripples out, but creates a tidal wave to the world around us.
It's funny how the universe works, that oftentimes we go through something and figure it out, and then right after that, we start attracting clients that are experiencing that same thing. And it's kind of this moment of, oh, okay, well, I'm glad we went through that because now we have these tools.
Hello and welcome to Married and Magnetic, the place for entrepreneurial couples who want to stay happily married.
In each episode, we have real conversations with ordinary couples doing extraordinary things, sharing achievements, everyday joys, challenges, and the mindset and tools that make love the greatest strategic edge.
We are James
And Angela Mitchell.
A real-life married couple. She's a counselor.
And he's a coach.
Parents to 3 kids.
And co-founders of Love Intentionally. We've ridden the highs
and lows
of building businesses while working hard to stay happily married. We've lived it, done the work,
got the t-shirt,
and are here to help you do the same.
This is Married and Magnetic, where love, business, and growth collide. Let's dive in, y'all. Hello, loves. Hello, new friends and old friends. This is James.
And Angela.
We're the Mitchells, and we're Love Intentionally, and welcome to our new podcast, Married and Magnetic.
We are super excited. So,
Absolutely. First episode, and we're here to tell you a little bit about why we're doing this, who it's for, what you can expect out of it, and a little bit about our story.
Who we are, why we're talking to you.
Why would you want to listen to this thing effectively? So this is your opportunity to get to know us on a little deeper level at the beginning, so we can dive in deeper and deeper each episode. All right, y'all. So, really exciting that we get to be our own first guests on our show. It really seemed appropriate because we are, in fact, married entrepreneurs. We are married and we are in the same business. And this podcast is for any couple who has at least one entrepreneur in that couple. Okay? So it doesn't really matter what your configuration is, but as long as you got one entrepreneur, maybe even a side hustler, this is the place to come and get supported in your marriage or relationship, whatever you like to call it, for the long term, to make sure that that maintains and continues to grow alongside your business.
Yeah. So why we're doing this? I'll speak for me, but we feel really passionate about offering support, getting community, getting conversations going about how we can have our marriage thrive in addition to our business. What I've tended to notice, maybe you have too, is that there's this whole business world out there and people get a lot of support around business stuff. And then there's this marriage relationship world and people get support around that. And they don't often happen together, which I think is a big miss because quite frankly, they impact each other, right? If our relationship is going super smoothly, we're able to show up in our business as our whole, undistracted, powerful, creative self, right? If things aren't good at home, it can affect our business. If things are rough in the business, we can sometimes bring that home and it affects our marriage. So really figuring out how do we make both of these things thrive is something I personally am excited to explore.
And I'm also excited to explore that. What I also find is really important about why we're doing this podcast is to help bring to light the struggles, the challenges, the triumphs, and the stories for those of you entrepreneurs in general who are out there living a bold and courageous life, taking the risks to create the life that you've always dreamed of, not waiting for somebody to hand it to you, but doing whatever it takes to grow yourself to become the person that can have, do, be, and give everything that you want to in this world.
Yeah. And for so many of us, the reason we go into entrepreneurship is because we want to make a difference. We want to make an impact. We want to leave a legacy. And that is no small feat. And we know it goes really more smoothly when you have that solid partner next to you and behind you and cheering you on, or maybe diving in and doing the work with you.
Because as hard as entrepreneurship can be and as challenging as that is, marriage has its own equal challenges to it. And when you put entrepreneurship and long-term relationships, which for the record, on this podcast, I'm going to use the word marriage a lot, but put in whatever word you like, my partner, my ride or die, my long-term, whatever it is. But if you're in a committed relationship, this is who we're speaking to. Okay. And so in essence, when you take two really hard things, entrepreneurship and marriage, and you mix those two together, it can create a lot of additional challenges. And nobody really gets what it's like or what those challenges are unless you can live them. And it became really important to us to have this conversation on a greater and a wider level to help people feel seen and understood. And that's the foundation for creating more appreciation for what you've got and what you're doing. And when that connection forms from appreciation in your relationship, you get to have the rocket fuel that drives forward every aspect of success in your business, for your family, whatever other endeavors you're choosing.
Yeah. And part of that too is that we want to help people with actual tools, tangible things you can do, processes and mind shifts and tools. I'll use tools again, strategies that you can use to really help make sure your relationship is thriving and healthy and successful while you're on this entrepreneurial journey. And so we'll, whether it's James and I talking or many weeks, we will have guests on that we are interviewing other couples about what they do and how they make sure that their marriage is staying priority and that they're staying connected. And we want you to walk away with real things you can use. So that'll be a goal each episode as well.
And one of the things we've learned in our 7 years of doing this work together is that when it comes to marriage in general, if you have parents who have been married for your entire life, you're ahead of the game by far.
And in the minority.
Yeah, right. And also in those long-term marriages from previous generations, that might not exactly be the marriage that you want to emulate. Just because your parents have been married that long doesn't mean they've been happily married for that long.
Or that what looks happy to them is the same that would be happy to you, right?
Mm-hmm. So we're here to help give you other ideas, other ways, other strategies, other tools, and really help teach entrepreneurial couples how to be married more intentionally to create more joy, more happiness, and more success.
Cool. All right. So who this is for, we have mentioned this is for entrepreneurial couples, married entrepreneurs, however you want to term that. And we've really identified there are 4 types of those. So first, there is what we call the anchorpreneur. These are terms that we mostly made up. So you're welcome. The anchorpreneur, and we see this a lot in the couples we work with. That is where one is the entrepreneur and the other is what we call the anchor. That could be they're the stay-at-home parent, the CEO of the household. That could be that they have a W-2, so they're holding down that steady salary or the benefits for the family. So anchorpreneur is one type.
Then we have our parallelpreneur. Both of the people in the relationship are entrepreneurs in their own separate businesses. So we've got 2 leaders doing their own thing and then coming together in marriage.
And then we have the couplepreneurs. So those are the ones of you that are crazy enough, like us, to go into business together. So 2 people in the same entrepreneurial journey, business.
Generally couples that say, we are crushing it at life. We get along so well at home. We manage everything so great. Like, let's just do this in our business too. And shout out to the word couplepreneur. We did not come up with that one. And there are a lot of folks, and there's one company called Couplepreneur that really crushes it in that regard. Talking more about business.
All right. And then the last one is the side hustler. So that's those of you who maybe you still have your steady job, your day job, but you have the side hustle that oftentimes you're hoping becomes your main job. But right now you're at a point where you're just trying to get that off the ground and explore, dabble in that.
Yeah, all right. You've got 2 people that have full-time jobs, probably full-time other things, maybe kids, household, friends, life. They got a life too. And then on top of that, they are working to create their future through a side hustle. They realize that the only way to build real wealth in this world is to own something. And so they are giving it all of their extra. They're burning the candle at both ends to make sure that they can build the dream life that they have. And at the core, who this is for couples who give a shit about their marriage. They really want to invest in it. They realize the value of being extremely connected and on the same page, and what that does, not only for the vibes around the house, but what that does for their ability to bring that energy into other aspects of their life.
Yeah. And we've lived, I think, we've never been parallelpreneurs. Well,
we kind of are right now.
Kind of are right. Okay.
Kind of are
We've
right
done
now.
all of them. We'll just go with that. We've
We've
done
got 'em
all
all.
of them. So we've experienced the joys and the struggles of each one. And so that's part of why we are passionate about doing this work, so that maybe you can learn from some of our mistakes and the things we did right.
That's what we got in terms of who this is for, why we're doing it, and what our mission and vision is behind it. It's to help bring more love to your relationship, because that love will then ripple out into all of the areas of your life around you.
Awesome.
Worth it.
So who are we?
Would you like to tell a little bit about our story now?
I would. All right. Story time. Oh, so we have been together since
2009.
Yes, thank you. 2009. I was a counselor. I have been a counselor I've been in the field for 20-ish something years. And so when we met, I was school counselor, and James was a lifelong entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm. At that point, I was in residential real estate. I was slanging houses in the brokerage game and really leveraging that entrepreneurship to create and build the life that I dreamed of. This was how I could hustle my way into wealth. While I came from a beautiful family and the classic middle class of America when we had one, I didn't leave with anything, except for maybe some privilege, we'll call that out. So from there, I was like, let's go out there and let's create my own life. And I want the ball. If there's a game-winning shot, like, I want the ball every single time. I'm going to bet on me. So I graduated from Colorado State University in 2008 with a real estate degree. Really great time to go into real estate if you remember 2008. However, it was just the best blessing ever. I learned how to cut my teeth in a tough market, learned how to hustle, and learned how to sell.
And when we met, you hadn't had a closing in like 6 months. You were just starting out.
Yep.
So I always say that I married him on potential. My grandma, who was in real estate, actually told me, don't marry a realtor. Love her. Glad I didn't take her advice, though, because it did thankfully worked out.
I won her over eventually.
You did win her over eventually, yeah. So anyway, we started our relationship with him in that hustling, like trying to get his business off the ground. I had a steady job, but I was a school counselor, so teacher salary, not exactly known for making the big bucks in that arena. But we decided to be really intentional about it. From the time we were engaged, we actually had a premarital counseling fail. Do you want to tell that story?
Yeah, sure. Angela said, I said, let's be intentional about our relationship. She said, great, I'm a counselor. Let's go to pre-marriage counseling. I said, beautiful, let's do it. At that time, we were not interested in doing anything like that through a church. And so we went through the Colorado State University's program for counseling that Angela got her master's in. And eventually what happened is that counselor didn't really know what to do with us.
And to be fair, I think she was used to and being trained to work with couples who were having problems, right? Most couples do not seek counseling until there is a big enough pain point that they decide to do something about. Actually, the Gottmans and their research show that people wait like 6 years, which is crazy to me, because think of all the damage you've done in 6 years if you wait that long to get help. But anyway, I think she was really used to and being trained in how to help people who have problems, not people who are very much in love and are excited to be getting married and just want to be intentional. And I always joke, like, I wanted to talk about who was going to clean the toilets and really important stuff like that.
And somewhere in the middle of our 8-10 sessions or whatever, the woman was just trying to get at us about how we fought, but we didn't really fight at that time. We didn't have a lot of conflict. We were super in love. We knew what we wanted to do. And so the kicker is that when we were talking about how we fought, but we didn't, it turns out we started to do our homework.
Started to fight more.
Funny how what you focus on expands. And we go in for a session, and the woman, bless her heart, starts to try to get Angela to almost gang up on me, to be like, oh, this is what he's doing. And she's like, that's not what's happening at all. And that culminated in Angela standing up and walking out in the middle of the appointment.
Which some of you don't know me that are listening, but that is not an Angela-like thing to do.
Not at all.
I am a very good student. I do all my homework. I stay for the entire class. I take notes.
And so there we are. She leaves. I look at the counselor. I look at the door, and I'm like, I'm out too. So we get in the parking lot and said, you know what? I think we can do this ourselves, right? This is what we want to figure out. We know what we want to figure out. I trust us to communicate on this. We've got the skills to do this between your counseling. And then I was in the process of doing business planning for my entrepreneurship in real estate. So I said, we can take everything that I'm doing to plan my business. And one, like, you should know about that because you're the family CFO. She still is. Thank you.
I want to make sure the bills are paid on time.
Absolutely. And we said, great, let's do it. I said, awesome. Business plan stuff. What's our finances? What are our big goals? Where are we going? We buying houses this year? Like, what are we doing? And Angela decided to add,
Oh, stuff like communication and kids and feelings.
feelings and emotions and how are we doing with intimacy? How are we doing with our conflict? And it grew over the years, but that was the basic premise of what got us started.
So we went away for a weekend. We made a list of these topics we wanted to talk about. And we really had just like an amazing weekend. At that point, we had like no money. We borrowed a friend's, had a family condo in Estes. And yeah, but we had such a great weekend just talking about all of our dreams, setting goals, making a plan on how it was going to happen. And we really, I mean, I walked away from that weekend feeling so energized and excited about our path and our marriage and where we were going.
And the being on the same page with clarity, like that's, I think, a huge part of the battle anyways, is are we on the same page? Do we have the same goals? Then how are we going to get there? And so we had the vision, and that was really important. But not only that, but we were able to create actionable steps for this year that were going to help us move towards the goals we have for this year, but also for our longer term goals, right?
Yeah. So we didn't realize it then, but that was actually the start of Love Intentionally, because it was our first time doing our own marriage retreat. Well, we would later on start doing for other couples. And we started doing it every year religiously. So even when we had newborns or money was tight or whatever the situation was, that was a priority. We got away for the weekend. Sometimes there was a point where we had like a very newborn, so it was only one night we were able to get away for, but usually 2 or 3 nights, and we would just focus on each other, our connection, our goals, and really set ourselves up for success.
Yeah, huge turning point that created a foundation for us that we do again year after year. And our 16th one is coming up here in December next month. So it's still something we do, and it's still the same process. It's wash, rinse, and repeat. But because we can build off of our foundations that we've done there, it continues to add a ton of value to us.
So then I like to call what we entered like the hustle phase.
The hustle, the grind.
Well, we decided to have a baby right after we got married, or get pregnant right after we got married. So I already had my son from a previous relationship, and so we're like already in kid mode. So we're like, all right, let's start having kids. And so I think James realized he was going to have all these mouths to feed now.
Yeah, organic blueberries are expensive.
It turns out. So he started hustling. And we were staying on the same page. We had our goals each year and we were reaching them. I mean, we were getting the houses, the investment properties. We ended up having, added 2 more kids. So we had 3 kids, got our cars, pretty much got the life that we were wanting to build.
Yeah, nothing's more motivating than mouths to feed, right? And providing the life for this family that I envision and feel like, 1, I'm capable of, and 2, they deserve. So we get to work, things are going really great. Fast forward the tape, still doing this thing just for ourselves. And our external life really started to show the success, to the point where our closest friends started to ask us what we were doing, how we were creating this momentum in our lives. And we're like, oh, we just do this marriage retreat. At that time, it was a Word document. And
list of topics, list of questions.
Yeah, and some of our very best friends got that Word document, and they went out and they did it themselves, came back, and we could see the fire in their eyes. It aligns, it sparks, it creates that fire and that burn, right, for co-creating together this dream life. And that was when I think we felt the spark for the first time.
Yeah. And so we had a few different couples, and then it turned into several, and, probably a dozen or so that were doing it, of our friends. But I remember one specific couple coming back and saying, like, this is amazing. Like, you can't keep this a secret. This has helped you all so much. It's helped our whole community, our other friends so much, that you need to share this, right? And that was, I think, when we got really excited about, oh, okay, like, yeah, maybe we could share this.
So that's like the really fun side of the coin. And it turns out there's this thing called duality and another side of the coin. And while everything is going great and everything is looking awesome and we're helping our community out, what looked really great on paper didn't always feel really great inside of our household. It was really hard building that grind phase, getting through it and building our first really kind of tier of wealth. One, I was busy all the time. And so we were both busy all the time. I was busy with work all the time, answering calls at any point, just really doing what I needed to bring in the income for this family to reach our goals. And Angela, what were you doing most of the time?
So we had 3 kids at that point, 2 of them very little, like a newborn and a 2-year-old, and then a 9-year-old that needed to be shuffled around to sports. So constantly, I was a full-time mom, and I was still working part-time as a counselor, and I was managing our rental properties, and I was keeping up with all the household, the cleaning and the laundry and everything. And so I felt like I had 4 or 5 jobs on a good day. And then he would come in, and just his world was so fast-paced that even when he was here, it was like, he'd like walk in and like, it was like he was just like vibrating. It was like this high, intense energy that
Not the good kind of vibrating.
no. So he was just like, would come in kind of all in a tizzy, and he'd be there for dinner because that was our agreement. He was supposed to be home by 6 to 7:30 is when I really wanted him home to help with like just feeding the kids and the bath and the
I'd
bedtime.
walk in and there would be one kid on her leg, one kid in a carrier. The other one is asking for help. She's just like staring at the box of wine, just going like, is it 5 o'clock yet?
Can I have a glass of wine?
It was what, 4 o'clock at that point?
That was my rule. I couldn't have wine before 4.
4, so
I'm not a big drinker either. Like this was, yeah.
No, that was just tough though. I mean, really, I've noticed that it can be really challenging to receive everything that one's asked for and to sit in the tension of having all the things I've wanted and the responsibilities that those can bring up does come with tension. And that's real, right?
Yeah. So I think what happened through that phase, and we've worked with so many couples that, especially the young kid phase and the building a business phase, and for some reason those always seem to happen at the same time, is you're just exhausted and overwhelmed. And so it's very easy for your relationship to just take a backseat, right? Like, because it's not, because he's not saying, mommy, I need this, I need that. And, there's not the oven going off and dinging and all the things, right? And so it was easy to focus on what felt urgent and immediate right in front of me and not always our connection.
Because we could trust that she'll always be there, I'll always be there. That was the commitment that we made. And yet, over time, a drift away from investing our own resources in our relationship really created this low-key disconnect.
And it wasn't even like we didn't fight a lot still, like at this point. So it wasn't obvious. It was like a slow drift. And then where it would come up, we were still religiously doing our marriage retreat every year. And when we would get to this part on connection, intimacy, sex, that was where things would come up. And I would always end up in tears. You were ending up, I don't know, frustrated.
I'd get very frustrated. I would wait months to have these conversations, and I would practice, and I would go like, okay, great. I'm wanting more or different in that department. And if that was the time and space to talk about it, but no matter how I said it, no matter how she tried to receive it, that was our glitch. That was our check engine light really coming on and being on for years without really getting looked at. And so when it came to intimacy, both of us, I was feeling unseen, unappreciated, undesired, right? And how are you feeling?
Similar. Yeah. Just feeling like I am doing so much. I have no more left to give. I'm showing up as best I can. Can't you see all that I'm doing, right? And how much is on my plate, and I am showing up for you, even though it's maybe not as much as you want. And right. So there'd be this defensiveness to it. It would trigger my like not enough. And yeah.
This is where both of us really stuck our heels in the dirt on being seen. I want you to see me. I want you to see me. And as a result, neither of us were able to see the other. And instead, it was more like, if you fix this about you, then I will feel better. And you can imagine that didn't work so well.
Nope.
So
after a few years.
7 years.
No, we are not the Gottman statistic. No, but we might be. But yes, after a few years of this just being the hard conversation at our marriage retreat every year, and I was a counselor. James has great skills in communicating, right? And so we kept feeling like we could figure this out and, we're just going to try this one thing. And then we just started realizing it wasn't working and we needed some outside help. And honestly, I wish we had gotten it sooner, but it was great when we did. So we kind of hit it from both sides. We got a coach.
That's funny you should say that.
We got a coach specifically around intimacy. And then we also got a counselor, and really, both of them had a little different ways of approaching things.
Counseling was really great because it helped us dig to the roots of the issues and our own selves, and helped us start to get more personal responsibility and awareness about our own triggers and wounds that were creating how we were responding in that moment.
Mhm.
That was creating my trigger creates her trigger, and her trigger then hits another one.
Feeding
And
off each other.
it's like a pinball machine of triggers. And so counseling really helped determine and get us out of that pattern.
Yeah.
What did coaching do?
Yeah, and then coaching gave us actual tools and a path forward, right? So it's like, okay, where are we now? Where do we want to be? And what are some tools and strategies we can use to get there? And I think both were very valuable, right? I think the tools may not have worked without the cleanup and the awareness and the healing that happened in counseling. And I think with just the counseling, we might have gotten to where we were good, but not to that okay, now how do we get to the next level where we want to go, where we're becoming?
What does the next level even look like?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, talk about nobody teaches you how. Nobody, we grew up, I and B, we grew up in religious households, right? For the most part. And I didn't have this example of what a great intimate life could look like as a married couple. It was like, wait till sex, have marriage. And then wait till marriage and then have sex, right? And then once you're married, everything's going to be great. You'll figure it all out. And it wasn't the case at all. And
we also both grew up in the South, so I got abstinence only sex ed in school.
Yeah. And so our sex and intimacy coaches helped us get a better vision for what was possible with this connection, like what is possible in our intimacy, and getting that kind of cairn, put out there that we could move toward was so valuable. And somebody to hold us accountable and give us some tools, and not for me personally, not make it my idea all the time. Not, honey, let's try this thing. Having a coach to say, based on what you're saying, this would be a really great approach so you can create more of what you're wanting in your relationship. That was priceless.
And I think this was the one time in your life that you liked doing homework.
Oh, hands down.
It was your type of homework.
Hands down, pants down. So the coaching really helped us figure out where we wanted to go and actionable steps on how to get there. And the counseling was really great to figure out what things and how we really get in our own way in that process.
Yes. And so then what came out of that was, well, one, just a much deeper connection, more fulfilling, got the spark back in our relationship. And also then this real desire. So we were doing Love Intentionally at that point, just the retreat part of it, right? So we had a digital retreat, people goodbye, and we had been facilitating retreats for other couples. So it was just that annual retreat model. Through this, we ended up deciding that what a huge part this counseling and coaching, both of them, had played in creating the marriage and life that we wanted and the connection that we wanted, that we really wanted to help other couples with that as well. So I already had my counseling degree, right? I have my master's in that. I've been doing that for years. James went on a journey to get a lot of certifications, education, experience in coaching.
And confidence, right? Having a counselor in the mix of our work is always, it's great. It's vital. In fact, I think that creates a beautiful safety container. And so my mission was to bring more of a coaching perspective and my masculine perspective to the table. And so I went on a journey. I did coaching in the field I knew of, real estate sales. Thank you, Ninja Selling, for that opportunity. And got a few thousand hours in of coaching. And then from there went on and got certifications in men's coaching and sex and intimacy coaching, because those two things have been somewhat of my Achilles heel, right, in our relationship. How do I manage my emotions as a man? How do I hold all of this? How can I be more in tune with my heart in this process, while also having a better way to approach intimacy? And if you would have asked me back in those days what intimacy was, I'd have been like, sex. And now I realize it's so much more than that.
Yeah. So I did the sex and intimacy coaching program as well. So yeah, we kind of decided that we were really passionate about helping other couples do that. So that's when we added the 2-on-2 coaching to our work, which has been a really fun and unique model.
Yeah, it's great whenever we can sit down with a couple and hear them both sitting next to Angela and I sitting next to each other, hearing both of them, and what she hears and what I hear are going to be slightly different or maybe totally different. And they're both also right usually. Like, oh, this is what I'm picking up on. Oh, this is what I'm picking up on. And it's like, great. How do we bring those 2 points together? Because that feels like the glitch we see in their matrix.
Yeah, and we get to blend the counseling and coaching. Plus, I feel like, and to our counselor's credit, I feel like she does a good job of like not really taking sides unless she takes mine, and then that's great.
Usually.
But I know some people when they go to one person can feel like, oh, the counselor or the coach is on their side or not, whatever. And since there's 2 of us, that just like doesn't happen because I think we see things differently. We relate to each person differently. Sometimes one of them is more similar to me and the other one's more similar to you, or it's not even always on gender lines, but I think we bring that, which has been really fun, cool process to have. So that led us to that part of our work.
Yeah. So to put a little timeline to this, our first retreats that we hosted for others was in 2017. So when we got the spark to bring that out in a professional setting, like let's facilitate a retreat for couples and guide them through this process. Whenever we finally got to the point where we're like, okay, like we're going to do this together. We're going to start coaching together in a 2-on-2 capacity. We're going to go all in on ourselves and all in on love intentionally. Like what a great moment in any entrepreneurial journey. That was about 3 years ago.
Yeah, we started doing the coaching about 5, but then really like it was very small. It was just like 1 day a week that we were coaching, and we still had our other jobs. So there was no pressure on it to like, it was like our side passion project, right? And so then when we decided, okay, no, we're going to actually like do something, like this is going to be a thing.
We're going to get paid to bring this value.
We want to do this work. This is our purpose work, our calling, whatever you want to call it, or dharma, right? That we want to do this. Then all of a sudden we started, we had figured out over the years and with our counseling, coaching and everything, how to work really well as an anchorpreneur couple. Me as the anchor, James as the entrepreneur. And I feel like we got that going to where we were just like smooth sailing.
Crushing it.
So then we're like, hey, we're doing this so great. Let's just, go all in on this business together.
We're such great partners in life. Naturally, that's going to easily apply to being partners in business.
Of course.
And enter in one of the biggest challenges that we've experienced as a married couple and as an entrepreneurial couple and as entrepreneurs, like all mixed into one.
Yeah. So we became couplepreneurs, right? Working in the same business. And yeah, like James said, some of those smooth sailing systems we had in our marriage just like weren't initially translating to our business. And I mean, I think we realized a few important things. First of all, I do feel like there became a little bit of this pressure that's like, we work with couples and we're helping other couples. And so shouldn't we be perfect over here as a couple? And I feel like we both, or at least I did, felt some of that pressure, which then like we kind of crumbled under that pressure.
And
right?
when we weren't doing good, and that was like if we were having a fight in our business, which could also be triggered by talking about one of our client situations and what my opinion on it was, and then it would just kind of, we'd be talking about their relationship. Next thing you know, we're talking about our relationship, and it would spiral. And we're like, well, we don't even want to work on this thing. So like, whatever, like skip the meeting, do the thing, right? And so the momentum of our business was taking a huge hit, and it felt like we were faced with this. We can have a happy marriage or a successful business, but you can't have both. And that wasn't good enough for me. That wasn't good enough for us. Like we truly believe that you can have both. You can have everything.
Yeah.
With intention.
Yeah. So there were moments where I think both of us questioned, right? Like, do we keep working together? Because our we don't want it to be at the expense of our marriage. And like, especially we're supposed to be helping other couples with the same things we're fighting about, right? So there's a little of that like imposter syndrome coming in.
Maybe more than a little sometimes. A little bit. Sprinkles.
And we both really, I think, kind of had that like heart to heart. Yes, this is work that we want to do. We want to figure this out. This is important work. We really add value. We're like changing people's lives, and we want to keep doing that. And so it just took some tweaks, we had to Like one thing we had done really well in our marriage had been roles and responsibilities and division of labor. We very explicitly, we have a whole spreadsheet where we call out who is in all the duties it takes to run the household, who does each one, who's the lead, who's the support role on it, who has decision-making power on it, right? We are very explicit about our roles so that we don't create that resentment or about who's doing what or who's not doing what. And we hadn't really explicitly done that for our business, right? Who gets to decide the marketing plan? Who gets to decide if we spend money on this and invest in this in our business? And we needed to get really explicit about that. So that was just like a very tangible one that we were like, oh, duh, we did this for our marriage. Why haven't we done this for our business yet?
And it was surprisingly hard to do on our own, right? Like, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? What are you good at? What are you good at, right? And then also, we had some scar tissue by this point about our communication around business. I don't like it when anybody tells me what to do. Hashtag entrepreneur, right? And I venture that nobody really does. And somebody who really didn't like it was...
Well, someone likes it even less when it's their partner telling them to.
Oh, yeah. And especially when it's like, do this in business, right? And as good as those intentions might have gone or been, what was happening is the coding was off. I would say something, thinking I was meaning what I was saying, and yet Angela could code it in a way that it was, oh, that tone's different than what I'm hearing from my husband. But my business partner, so she was coding my business partner voice as husband voice in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think sometimes what happened was, I remember a specific point asking him, he said something and in my opinion, said it like a little sharply, right? Maybe he was overwhelmed in the moment, grumpy, frustrated, whatever. We all have those days. And he said it a little sharply. And I asked him, I said, would you talk to your assistant like that? He had a great assistant when he was in real estate. And I was like, I don't think you would have. And the fact of the matter is, yes, he probably would have said it a little more softly, less sharply to her. But the other side of that, my side of that, was that she also probably didn't take it personally when he had those moments, right? Where she was like, oh, James is a little grumpy today, right? And like rolled it off, no big deal. But me as his wife took it very personally and like, why are you using that tone with me? And are you like being condescending or right? And so it made the communication tricky too, because we were coding things as a married couple, not just as coworkers and business partners.
Yeah, which could also bring up avoidance. Like, I don't want to say that thing, even though it's what needed to get said and that's what needed to happen. And so those kinds of miscodings, miscommunications would really slow us down and get us off the same page and get us off track. And there's a heavy weight that comes with, right? And now all of a sudden, both of us are shouldering the heavy weight of entrepreneurship, the financial weight of, the business, holding the other person, right? Now we just have each other in work and in life and at home, right? It just became a lot for this invisible weight. Just got really heavy.
Yeah. I think the other thing that happened that we also had to clear up was like boundaries, right? So all of a sudden we went from, having our own separate jobs and worlds and then coming together at the end of the day. We were like together all day.
All day.
Especially we moved to Peru for a year. That was last year. Got back in August. But yeah, and all of a sudden we're just like, we're working together, we're living together, we're parenting together, all the things, right? And not having that space to go out and be our own and to come back and bring what we learned out in the world back to the relationship just felt different, right? We lacked some. It's nice to miss him sometimes.
Yeah, I'm very missable when I'm not around.
When you're not around, but when you're always around, it is hard to miss you.
So this new configuration shifting, right? Any transition in our marriage can always shift into gear some changes in how our structure is operating. And this new configuration really called for new skills and gave us an opportunity to rise to the challenge, to grow, and to figure out how to do that. So we'd figured out being anchorpreneur. We figured out now doing the couplepreneur. And one of the interesting things was we looked back at every couple we were helping, and there's just always been one person in the relationship that was an entrepreneur or a founder, right, or even a CEO. They get the power of working on oneself to become a greater like your success in business can only reach the level of success you're able to handle. And that's on an individual basis. Now, whenever you start working with your beloved, your spouse, your ride or die, same thing. So now our relationship, if we have a cap on our relationship and what we can manage and handle, that's going to come through in our business. So we looked around, we said, these are the kinds of people that we've been helping. This is what we do. And like, yeah, you know what? Like, let's continue. Let's do this. Let's really own that we help entrepreneurs stay happily married.
So we figured out how to work together, thankfully. Now I enjoy working with you.
Thank you. Me too.
Me too. Okay, good.
I enjoy working with me too.
I was wondering if he was going to say it back. That was a test.
I enjoy working with you too, my darling.
Oh, thank you.
For real. No, it's like legit. Like I really enjoy it now.
Yeah. So we figured out what tools and skills we were lacking or having but not applying and sorted through that. So we sorted through the boundaries. We go to different gyms now. We joined a co-working space so we can have a little separation every now and then. We had to almost manufacture some separation, but it's been really good. We figured out the roles and responsibilities, who's doing what. Anyway, all that to say, in hindsight, and I know this logically, but I actually felt it emotionally, was that I realized that every time we've had our struggles, and there's more than just these few we've mentioned on here, every time we've had these struggles, it has given us the skills, the tools, the understanding that allows us to better serve our clients. So now it's almost become a joke when we're going through something hard or challenging. We're like, well, we're going to learn some great stuff to help other people with after this. And it's funny how the universe works, that oftentimes we go through something and figure it out. And then right after that, we start attracting clients that are experiencing that same thing. And it's kind of this moment of, oh, okay, well, I'm glad we went through that because now we have these tools. So
it feels like the dharmic work attracts challenges that we can overcome. So then we can share that. And that's how we choose to view that. And that's why we're here. This has been the greatest value to my life, is to have a solid home, a solid marriage, and not just one that's solid, but one that is resilient. And learning how through trial and error, right? We've got our training. We also have our lived experience at this point, to create a resilient connection. That is one of my greatest prides. The one thing I have the most pride around is the resilient connection that we've created. We say it's got like Machu Picchu style Incan stones, the monolithic
they
structures.
know how to build stuff. They're very good engineers if you've never been to Peru.
Still there, right? Like that's the foundation that we carry now in our relationship, which creates more intimacy, more solid foundations than we imagine. And it helps us anytime we get thrown off, which we do. Welcome. We're a normal couple, right? But it helps us get back to love faster and with more ease. And once we're back to love, we're able to stay in that place a lot longer thanks to our resiliency before we go back into that cycle of rupture and repair, which is to be human and to be in relationship.
I feel like I need to take a deep breath after that story of us.
Mm-hmm.
There's more stories, but
more stories.
Yeah. So really, we have created this space, this podcast, so that you all listening can hopefully learn from us, learn from the other couples that we interview, get new thoughts, new mindsets, new tools maybe to try, because we really do believe. I believe that when home is solid, it just allows us to spread more love into the world. It ripples out. When we're solid here, we get to show up as our best selves in all the other areas. So for me, this is my little contribution on helping to bring more love into the world. And so, yes, so I hope you will listen. I hope you will find value from, sometimes it'll just be James and I on here spitballing about things. Sometimes we'll have other couples who are living and loving intentionally on to learn from them. And yeah, we hope you get some good stuff out of this. We hope you reach out to us. You can find us online, loveintentionally.com.
Yeah, my desire is that, yes, you will listen to the show and you will listen to the show because you always walk away with a new perspective, a new tool, or some new energy to step into a better version of yourself and a better version of your marriage and watch that ripple out. That's the good stuff in this life. And to me, I think the most important thing as a human that we want is to love and be loved right? So to give and receive love in a way that is fully felt, fully appreciated, fully seen, and fully desired. And when we operate ourselves and our life from that place, we have a vibration that not just ripples out, but creates a tidal wave to the world around us. And I think that's what we need right now. I think the world always needs more love. And given the ideas of divides and bickering and sides and everything else,
Yeah.
like what we can really do here is connect on one thing. And that is that marriage, right? The love that we have in this marriage is sacred. And when we tend to that fire burns in a huge way and just attracts others around to come and hang out, right? Little bonfire music.
Well said. All right. And with that, y'all, thanks for listening. Big love to you. Hope to see you on the next podcast.
See y'all.